A very good evening and a warm welcome to our first edition of UBC News Tonight on this 22nd day of August 2024. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto and my colleague on sign language interpretation, Muhammad Mugalu. And we start, of course, this news bulletin with our first story this evening. Prime Minister Robidan Nabanja has praised the Italian government and the civil society organization EVIS for their support in skilling Ugandan youth to address unemployment. Nabanja, who is on a working visit to Italy, highlighted ongoing cooperation efforts with Italian companies to enhance coffee value addition and shared Uganda's initiatives to provide digital skills for sustainable development. Take a look.
In 10, when the Comboni missionaries arrived in Uganda and they engaged in a number of development agenda. Now, the Italian government has listed Uganda among the top 23 priority African countries to benefit from the 2.3 billion euros, about 9.2 trillion Uganda shillings, as development support in the year 2024-2026.
But you are a priority country, for the strategy of the development cooperation of Italy. That is what, because one point I would like to share with you, the Mattei plan with these 9 projects in 9 countries that anyway will evolve and include, does not have money. And the money is at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So this is a project where we address the money. So that was very...
Thank you for that.
At least Uganda is there.
Yes, that is there. I have not decided that it starts with you, but these are, so before they were 11, and now they are 23. So
the 3-year program comes after the Italian government decided to continue her development support to African countries in what was termed as Italy-Africa Mattei Plan of January 2024. The Prime Minister Robidan Nabanja is representing Uganda at the 45th edition of the Rimini meeting in Italy.
We are particularly happy with the new approach of Italy working as an equal partner with Africa. Allow me to thank my brother Gatti for including Uganda in the Mattei plan among the other 22 African countries. We welcome this equitable and mutual beneficial partnership aimed at finding shared solutions to regional and global challenges, especially climate change, food security, strengthening health systems, and managing migration. It is in line with our continental and national aspirations.
The Mattei plan stipulates that African countries will take the lion's share of 65%, the Middle East 14%, Asia 5%, Latin and Central America 14%, the Balkans and Eastern Europe 12%. The Prime Minister Robidan Nabanja was also accompanied by the Executive Director of the Uganda Investment Authority, Robert Mukiza, highlighted the potential benefits the Italians could reap out of Uganda once they invest in the country.
Success of the private sector is the success of our country. And in Uganda, we are focused on making Uganda the best business and investment destination in Africa. And don't just take my word for it. Oxford Economics Africa Risk Reward Index 2023 ranked Uganda as the most profitable country to invest in Africa. So when, as a private sector, you invest in Uganda, you will make more profits, 14% profit in our country. That is only Ethiopia and Egypt are above Uganda. So I'm speaking particularly the private sector here. The annual investment awards in Abu Dhabi, that's in UAE, did rate Uganda as the best investment destination in Africa. And Uganda is the fastest growing economy in East Africa with a GDP growth rate of 6%. We also, if you look at CNN rankings, we are the top 10 tourist destination in Africa.
Partner with you. Uganda is on the right path to development. We develop together. I am inviting you to come to Uganda. And once you come to Uganda, you will not regret.
The leader of opposition in Parliament, Joel Senyonyi, has continued to criticize the inbound Parliament's regional sittings. Senyonyi maintains that the parliamentary sittings in Kampala are enough to address issues up-country and at a less cost. Parliament will hold its first regional sitting in Gulu Kaunda grounds next week. Next week, Parliament will be hosting its sittings in different parts of the country, with the first scheduled in Gulu City. The opposition, on the other hand, remains grounded on their view that this arrangement is another money-wasting venture.
It will not be of any use or relevance if we spend these billions, transport all MPs, ministers, staff of Parliament to Gulu to sit there, and then we leave Gulu. But the war claimants who have been claiming for their money for a very long time have not been paid. Their Parliament question is not resolved. Karuma continues to be cut off.
In a press briefing, the leader of opposition, Joel Senyonyi, cites how members of Parliament have consistently raised concerns from regions, respectively, attributing how this can be worked on without moving to regions.
We think that transporting the entire Parliament for an entire week and all the billions that are to be spent is a minor. The measure should be to address the critical concerns of the people of northern Uganda, which we know, which the members of Parliament from northern Uganda have been raising on the floor of Parliament. That's what we should be dealing with.
He, however, calls upon government to allocate sittings in Parliament for regions to address concerns which might be less costing.
Handling matters to do with Western Uganda, next week Northern Uganda, then Eastern, Central, like that. In that particular week, you have all the ministers concerned, members of Parliament from those areas raising all these different issues, and then we come out with clear action plans. That's less costly.
Recently, the Director of Communications at Parliament, Chris Obore, responded to the MPs boycotting the regional sittings to also boycott salaries of Parliament. Obore said the regional sittings will boost tourism in addition to addressing the challenges affecting people directly in the up-country.
This is what the public has been saying. So why do you only boycott the allowances of going to Gulu? Why? It's just a political game, which is very unfortunate.
Meanwhile, on issues concerning the Chitezi disaster, leader of opposition says his office is determined to engage with the non-compensated victims to take legal actions.
We are demanding that government, with immediacy, compensates these families adequately. Once that does not happen in the soonest, we are encouraging these bereaved families, the affected families, and we are going to support them in taking legal action against government.
He, however, tasked government to comprehensively come out with a plan of garbage collection.
So as we are saying, compensate the people, let there be a clear plan about where garbage is going to be deposited. We need to fast-track efforts to recycle garbage.
Lydia Chomkama and Gloria Gwitabinji, Parliament. The Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, has reaffirmed the government's commitment to enhancing its capacity to provide suitable alternative opportunities for the growing number of Ugandan youth transitioning from basic education, while handing over 9 technical institutes for expansion works. She emphasized that the TVET, Technical and Vocational Education and Training subsector, is slowly shedding its negative reputation, with more people realizing its potential for both formal and informal employment.
Mama has cut the ribbon, let's join clapping the handover. The government, through the Ministry of Education and Sports, is set to begin the expansion of 9 technical institutes across various regions of the country. The Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, handed over these institutions to the contractors to commence the works with a total budget of 85.8 billion shillings. The institutes include Minaku Technical Institute in Oyam, Moyo in Moyo District, Moroto in Napak District, Birembo War Memorial in Kakumiro District, Chitovu in Masaka, Luyunku in Sembabule, Kabale in Kabale District, Nalwire in Busia District, Nkoko in Mayuge District. Janet Museveni highlighted the importance of nurturing Uganda's youth population, which makes up to 70% of the population, into united, patriotic, innovative and productive workforce. The government will continue to create opportunities for them through the expansion of educational institutions.
That subsector is slowly emerging from years of negative reputation due to our realization of its potential for both formal and informal employment for Ugandans. Government will continue to enhance its capacity to provide suitable alternative absorption space for the large numbers of Uganda's youth that continue to transition from our basic education levels.
The population is growing rapidly and the demand for skills continues to rise, making the expansion of existing institutions a critical need. Dr. Jene Gau, the acting permanent secretary of the Ministry of Education and Sports, noted that these institutes focus on key trades essential for driving the national economy.
Intervention has been carefully designed, Mama, to ensure that each of them focuses on the training requirements for one or two key drivers of our national economy. The specific trades include electronics and telecommunications. There is commercial agriculture, especially we want to go for value addition and mechanization. There is construction trades, especially building and roads. There is light manufacturing. There is tourism, hospitality, and mineral development.
The head of the Islamic Development Bank Regional Hub, which is supporting the expansion of the technical institutes, emphasized that vocational education offers a viable pathway to gainful employment and self-reliance. The expansion takes into consideration the comparative advantages of each region.
By taking into consideration the comparative advantages of each region, the project is tailored to meet the specific needs and potential of different areas. The approach ensures that the skills being taught are relevant and that they capitalize on the existing resources and industries of each region.
In another development, the minister also launched the Digital Agenda Strategy for the Ministry of Education and Sports for 2024-25 to 2030-31. This strategy emphasizes putting measures in place to ensure that learners and educators are not exposed to harmful materials.
Therefore, has put in place stringent measures to protect the learners while in school. All digital devices to be provided to school and institutions shall be pre-configured to prevent access to unwanted material that is harmful to our children. Every device that a learner will use in school shall be set up to only allow education content to be accessed. No other harmful content will be accessible through these devices, especially when the children are at school.
Raising the vision of the Digital Agenda Strategy requires more than just a well-crafted plan. It demands multi-sectoral coordination, significant investments in infrastructure, training and technology, and the pooling of resources from various line ministries and development partners.
I'm Navka Farida and Abdinasila Wama in Kampala.
The Inspector General of Government, Betty Kamya, has convened a meeting with key officials in the building sector to address escalating concerns about the state of condominium developments in Kampala. The meeting, held at the Inspectorate of Government's boardroom, included representatives from the Ministry of Housing, the Ministry of Local Government, and Kampala Capital City Authority, and the Uganda Investment Authority.
Was prompted by a surge of complaints from both local and diaspora Ugandans who invested in condominiums in Kampala. Many homeowners expressed disappointment over substandard quality of construction, citing serious concerns about safety and value for money.
They use the banks to do their marketing. So an unsuspecting Ugandan goes to the bank, sees a complete block with the beautiful flats, they fall for it, and the bank connects them to the investor. Then the investor sells them a piece of ground, not even ground, some condominium which is not yet built, say at around 200 million. Then the bank takes this person and lends them the money, the 200 million, when there's nothing on the ground. And this 200 million immediately wholesale is paid to the investor. So on day one, before the investor starts investing, they get 200 million for a property which is not even approved by the local authorities.
IGG Kamya underscored the Inspectorate of Government's constitutional mandate to investigate any actions or failures by public officers that compromise the safety and welfare of citizens.
Before any construction starts, then they give you the condominium or home a year or even 2 years later. During those years, the buyer has been paying back the loan with interest. Then they give you a substandard, fake, even dangerous product under our watch.
She voiced the frustration of Ugandans, particularly those in the diaspora, who had purchased condominiums from foreign investors only to be met with poorly constructed properties.
For that matter, many of the Ugandan diaspora had stopped sending back money home to Uganda for building houses, but opted to invest their money abroad. But when government promoted investors, foreign investors, and particularly in this case, investors in the building sector.
Kayanga Dev, the acting director for housing at the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, reported that many of the inspected buildings had significant structural issues, including cracks in the walls and foundations.
Which department in the Ministry of Lands is responsible for that supervisory role? I want to pin somebody who is sleeping on the job.
The Directorate of Housing and the Department of Housing Development and Estates Management.
The Director of Housing.
A recurring issue was the use of flat roofs, which are susceptible to water retention. Poor plumbing installation was also a common problem. The materials used in the construction of these condominiums were often of low quality, with homeowners reporting the need to replace fitting and fixtures shortly after moving in. The report highlighted issues with electrical wiring, which posed safety risks to residents, with compounds of many condominiums poorly designed, resulting in frequent flooding. IGG Kamya called on the relevant government agencies to take immediate and decisive action to rectify these issues. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
Thank you, Sudat Kaye. NEMA has revealed that the licensing of Chitezi landfill was stopped in 2020 following 5 years of warnings that the landfill had exceeded its garbage holding capacity. As the regulatory authority, NEMA consistently raised alarms and recommended the decommissioning of the landfill after identifying potential dangers.
As the mystery surrounding the collapse of Chitezi landfill continues to unfold, information indicates that KCCA had been warned about the risk of continued dumping at the site. Established in 1996, the landfill that managed waste from Kampala and its metropolitan areas had exceeded its holding capacity in 2015, prompting plans for its decommissioning. According to the National Environment Management Authority, one of their assessments found out that Chitezi began nearing its capacity of decommissioning as early as 2013.
From as far as 2013, we had already seen that Chitezi was running out of capacity, and NEMA continuously alerted KCC that time.
NEMA further recommended that KCCA decommissions the site and explores other avenues at the site like energy generation from the landfill. The recommendations were based on concerns that the landfill posed significant risk to the surrounding community.
As we all know that Chitezi had reached its capacity, but because of lack of alternative, there was nowhere else to take waste. But these plans, according to these two, have not materialized because of lack of resources.
In 2015, when the site exceeded its garbage holding capacity, was due for decommissioning, but no action was taken.
But the city authority did not have alternative, so they had nowhere else to put the waste. According to KCA, the alternative would be to put it on the streets of Kampala, which would have resulted into a human, environment and sanitation catastrophe.
After 5 years of warning in 2020, NEMA stopped licensing of Chitezi landfill to prevent further risk.
Because it had reached its capacity. So that's the measures we took by bringing it to the attention of the one responsible to decommission it. And indeed, KCA submitted a decommissioning plan, which we endorsed. Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development also submitted a project to generate power from Chitezi, which we also approved. So the idea was to convert the waste into power so that we get away with the waste, but they also decommission it as a landfill.
Despite these warnings, KCCA continued using this landfill owing lack of funds for establishment of a new landfill. This led to a tragic incident where land collapsed, burying parts of Lusanja and Chitetika village.
Ever since the need to decommission arose, we should not have been here. However, the other challenges came about. Communities building close to a dangerous site, allowing developments near a dangerous mountain of waste.
After this catastrophe, KCCA resorted to temporary dumping sites like Katabi, which is also located near a wetland. In response to avert likely environmental impacts, including the overflow of garbage into the wetland, NEMA embarked on engaging relevant authorities in Entebbe.
According to the records we have, Katabi has an environment and social impact assessment for dry land next to the wetland. But as we have seen, the dump site is fast getting filled. And as it gets filled, the waste goes towards the wetland and eventually the lake. So to prevent that, our team has been on site. We have engaged the Entebbe municipality, which runs the dump site, and they are going to take steps to ensure that the dump site does not fill up to capacity to have waste overflowing into the wetland.
Additionally, NEMA put forward some short-term proposals for waste management across the country. Kampala Capital City Authority will temporarily continue using dump sites, awaiting establishment of a new landfill. Susan Naonga reporting for UBC TV.
Authorities in Mukono municipality have denied access to a fleet of lorries carrying garbage from Kampala city, blocking them from dumping at the Katikolo dump site in Mukono. We have more details on this story.
As early as 5 a.m., a fleet of garbage trucks had arrived and parked at the gate of Katikolo dump site, only to find the gate locked. Upon seeing the trucks, residents gathered to prevent the trucks from entering, accusing Mukono leaders of secretly conniving with KCCA to bring garbage to their village.
tulinda embeera esooke eri bannannyini kirombe baba bazze tusobole okukola kyokuyiwa.
The leaders, led by John Sebunya, were concerned that Mukono Municipal Council had no prior knowledge of the directive from the minister.
Has never sat anywhere to decide on this. It is this has been between the minister and maybe the Mukono, the town clerk, but not Mukono Municipality Council. Okay. I'm trying to protect my people from getting diseases which can be brought by this garbage.
So when it comes to pollution of water for drinking, in my view, that was addressed a long time ago. But now the second thing is the wetland. We all believe that wetland is not supposed to be encroached on. It is supposed to function and provide its ecological function, which is purifying the water because of that vegetation that is suspended on the wetland, and then also control flooding that happens within the community.
Mukono Municipality Member of Parliament Betty Namboze Bachireke urged KCCA to first prepare proper disposal sites rather than ferry the garbage to Mukono.
Same. Before they could provide for that, we woke up to a freight of trucks. In fact, we have been ambushed. They are almost overrunning us. If we are to allow them in, this small space would be filled in just one day. We cannot accommodate them.
Namboze also highlighted that this dump site is too small to handle garbage from Kampala and is located in a dangerously close area to the lake, posing significant environmental risk. Namboze highlighted that the dump site is too small to handle Kampala garbage and is also located close to Lake Victoria, which may pose an environmental risk.
Agreed with them that if we are to do that, they should first send us the machinery, machines here, for example, an excavator, a wheel loader, bulldozer, and then a workforce. And then we would commit about 1 acre of land into a provisional landfill.
The Deputy Director, Internal Security Organization, Colonel Emi Katabazi, has tasked NEMA to perform its job without compromise of political pressure. While officiating at the 10-day National Environment Management Authority retreat in Chankwanzi, Colonel Katabazi tasked NEMA to perform its mandate as assigned.
The National Environment Management Authority staff have been undergoing a 10-day leadership training at the National Leadership Training Institute, Chankwanzi. The 10-day training was geared towards acquainting the staff with the leadership skills, change management and resilience for proper execution of their duties in environmental management. The Executive Director NEMA, Dr. Akankwasa Varirega, says following the tasks ahead, the staff needed thorough refresher trainings, especially on mindset change.
We all know that as a country we must progress, because from the studies we did here, we now all agree that any community, any society has a mission, a historic mission, which is survival and progress.
Dr. Kankwasa says with the climate dynamics the country is facing, there is urgent need for redress. He noted that for Uganda to achieve the agenda of socio-economic transformation, environmental protection should be put at the forefront if we must attain Vision 2040.
We cannot have agriculture minus environment. It's not possible. We can't have generation of electricity to power our economic transformation minus adequate levels of water in our lakes and rivers. The sum of it all is that it will be impossible to attain our Vision 2040 as a nation minus addressing the critical issues of environment.
To further tackle environmental degradation through restoration, Cabinet approved a 10-year restoration plan for environmental management. Dr. Akankwasa retaliated that NEMA will perform its role to implement the agenda.
On the war to liberate environment, And as we again started from here, we also agree today, I'm very sure with all the participants, that the reason leaders exist is to manage what? To manage change.
The Deputy Director, Internal Security Organization, Colonel Emi Katabazi, while officiating at the retreat, tasked NEMA to perform its mandate without compromise.
They write in papers admiring other countries that have enforced strict regulation about their environment. And they are not ashamed when they are defining Uganda's environment to praise those who have kept the environment safe. Therefore, that contradiction in their thought shows that they are meant to be led, not to lead us.
Colonel Katabazi advised NEMA to avoid succumbing to any kind of political pressure while carrying out its mandate in protecting the environment.
But we also ought to know that we don't owe anybody anything. It is our responsibility as enshrined in our Constitution. Everybody has a right to protect the environment. I appeal to you not to be tempted and succumb to political pressure of those who are ideologically empty.
A total of 126 staff of the National Environment Management Authority benefited from the first phase of the leadership training that was held in Jankwanzi. Susan Naung and Andrew Sebira reporting for ABC TV.
UBC News tonight. Now, Ministry of Health has launched the Climate Change and Health National Adaptation Plan to run from 2025 to 2030. The third Deputy Prime Minister, Lukia Nakadama, launched the plan in Kampala and underscored the need for different government agencies to combine efforts in addressing the impacts of climate change.
Climate has become a global challenge affecting countries in different ways with varying negative impacts ranging from hunger, disease and displacement of people. In this regard, Uganda is a signatory to different international instruments geared at addressing the impacts change and adaptation. It is against this backdrop that the Ministry of Health has launched the Climate Change and Health National Adaptation Plan to run from 2025 to 2030. The third Deputy Prime Minister, Lukia Nakadama, launched the plan in Kampala on the theme Building a Climate-Resilient Health System from Evidence to Collaborative Action.
Climate change today poses a severe threat not just to the environment but also to our health systems. It is the single biggest health threat facing humanity and contributing to environmental risks which are killing millions of people per year globally. We still have it here at our noses because Chitezi is still very fresh in our minds.
The Climate Change and Health National Adaptation Plan, that is to run from 2025 to 2030, has been supported by Rockefeller Foundation and other health development partners to guide the implementations of interventions directed towards health impacts of climate change.
Leadership at the Makerere School of Public Health has said that's an area they are thinking about and they want to develop programs around going forward. And I do hope that they do that. When I come back with them, I promise to visit again next year. Hopefully they will have developed those programs and we can talk more about how we support them.
We are going to look at chemicals, contaminations with food and many things. We need a good lab to be able to detect that because we can't see the pollutants with our naked eye. So we need a good laboratory to be able to do that. And that's really critical for us to be able to monitor exposures and disease patterns in our country so that we can have interventions. So that lab is really important for us.
The Ministry of Health described the Climate Change and Health National Adaptation Plan as an important milestone that will help Uganda to work with the global community to address climate change impacts.
This HNAP will only succeed if other sector plans are interlinked, are connected to this HNAP. We cannot implement as health alone. We need everybody. All government agencies.
Uganda is the first country in Africa and second globally to develop the Climate Change and Health National Adaptation Plan. Sudat Kaye and Adia Nakuti, UBC News.
Now, words of wisdom kept flowing as hundreds of mourners gathered at Namirembe Cathedral for the last funeral service of the late former Attorney General Khiddu Makubuya. Khiddu Makubuya died on Sunday, the 18th of August 2024, after a long illness including diabetes and hypertension. The Attorney General, Chiriowa Chwanuka, praised the contribution of the late in the transformation of the country, including drafting the Constitution of Uganda in 1995. Chwanuka represented the President of Uganda. Makubuya was a former Member of Parliament representing Katikamu South.
The close relatives of the late Dr. Khiddu Makubuya wore T-shirts exhibiting a Bible quote from the book of Psalms 91 verse 1 to 16, portraying that whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High shall rest in the shadow of the Almighty.
Of course, it had been noted the history of the some diabetes, hypertension, but and the fact that he had been ill for some time. He developed some episodes of infections, initially from home, then in the hospital.
This relates with the words of wisdom as hundreds gather at the Namirembe Cathedral to mourn the late former Attorney General who died on 18th August 2024.
We rely on the foundation that he built for posterity.
Retired former Bishop of Luwero Diocese, Eldad Nsobuga, led the service and reminded the mourners of the contribution of the late Khiddu Makubuya to the Diocese of Luwero and the Church at large. Nsobuga says the late Makubuya used his faith as a weapon to confront his challenges.
To remain as humble as Dr. Khiddu has been, bearing in mind that we are not the alphas and omegas in those portfolios. Whoever exalts himself will be lowered, the Bible says in Luke 14:11, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted.
The family, led by widow Tessie Khiddu Makubuya, find comfort in the laughable memories of the remarkable journey of the late former Attorney General of Uganda.
When we were having dinner at the dining, the jokes we used to share, and that hearty laugh, we could see the other side of a father. After all his work, we enjoyed it.
But as a friend, a father, and a husband, his kindness and generosity knew no boundaries. And his legacy, one of love, dedication, and profound respect for others. His love for the law and Rotary was immeasurable. He loved law. He loved the lawyers.
Because of his humanity and humility, the late Makubuya did not miss to be part of Rotary Club of Kampala, offering his time to serve the less privileged.
Rotarian Edward Makubuya joined the Rotary Club of Kampala in December 1997.
Messages defining his integrity kept flowing from all corners, including the legal fraternity, where the deceased passionately served and inspired prominent lawyers to the profession.
I recall at our annual general meetings, which he never missed, specifically the last one, when I welcomed him and requested him to take the front seats, he declined and whispered that he was comfortable to take any seat, not at the front.
I was then Dean of the Law School at Uganda Christian University, and he said, I have a slot on the management committee of the Law Development Center. And given what you had to say about legal education, I would like you to go and serve.
The chief mourner, also the Attorney General Chiro Wachiwanuka, delivered President Yoweri Museveni's message, who eulogized the late Khiddu Makubuya for the contribution, especially in the drafting of the 1995 Constitution and the role in the transformation of the country during the NRA days.
The key point to note about Professor Khiddu Makubuya is that he was not an ivory tower academic. Despite great learning, he easily connected with the masses to understand their challenges, and come up with a cure for them. There is always a temptation for academics and intellectuals to become detached from the common people and spend a lot of time studying subjects that are alien to our local condition. A country cannot develop with the input of its best brains.
Born on 30th July 1949, the late Khiddu Makubuya will be buried on Friday 23rd August in Katiti Kalasa village, Makubuya district. Makubuya was a former member of Parliament representing Katikamu South. Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
And may his soul rest in peace. UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we'll return with more stories after these messages.
You used to tell me that I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Once upon a time, there lived identical twins who gave birth to beautiful princes and princesses.
Their mothers gave their babies' bodies a lot of care by applying on their skin with baby Junior jelly.
Though dried their chariots and everyone would admire their glowing skin. Fun fact, baby Junior prevents diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Moms all over Africa love baby Junior jelly. Baby Junior's the skin. No more worries anymore. Baby Junior.
Baby Junior.
Do you need data collection services, data analysis and reporting, monitoring and evaluation systems? Then contact Mold Technologies, a professional research firm that has provided many organizations with timely research solutions for over 15 years. For more information, visit www.mt.co.ug or call us on 0704 913 399 or 0782 602 963. Visit our office in Kampala at Sayuni Complex in Tinda. Mood Technologies, your professional research firm.
Sometimes the pressure of paying taxes can feel overwhelming. The temptation to cut corners and underdeclare your income may creep in. But before you make that choice, consider the cost. Underdeclaring taxes might seem like an easy way out, but the consequences can be severe. URA offers resources and payment plans to help you manage your taxes. You can pay in installments if it's difficult to pay in full. Transparency is key. Avoid penalties and unexpected liabilities by reporting everything accurately. To report corruption, call URA on our toll-free lines. Uganda Revenue Authority. Developing Uganda together.
Welcome back from that break. Now in more news this evening, the Uganda Liberal Teachers Union SACCO members from across the country have commended the new government teachers policy, stating that it will help improve the standards of the education sector. However, these teachers are urging the government to support those already in the field who hold certificates and diplomas, enabling them to upgrade to degrees as required by the policy. We have more details.
The newly introduced Ministry of Education and Sports policy is seen as timely, especially in light of efforts to improve the education sector and implement the new national curriculum. However, the Uganda Liberal Teachers Union and SACCO have encouraged the ministry to support the ongoing implementation of the policy by providing opportunities for teachers with certificates and diplomas to upgrade to degrees as mandated by the new policy. This appeal was made during the annual general meeting of the Uganda Liberal Teachers Union SACCO, held at Makerere Guest House in Makerere University.
As a teacher, I feel that to some extent it's completely unfair, because I don't expect a nursery school teacher teaching kids, making them learn how to sing Baby Jesus, to have a degree in that classroom. It will be a wastage of human resource.
There are teachers who went and did upgrading. They have their degrees, but the government has not adjusted their salaries to degree level. So if those ones are there and they have not been adjusted, why then do we ask others to do what? To have degrees?
Government should really focus on making sure that teachers have an environment that is favorable for the teachers to deliver their services. Work on their accommodation, shelter, work on their salary and emoluments and all that, remuneration. Make sure that they have health care, and like other professionals, so that then it is looked at as being a great thing to be a teacher in this country.
But also financially, teachers don't have enough money, their salary is little. So we are trying to advocate that if government wants degrees, at least there should be a fund which can help those teachers who are already in service to train and get those basic requirements.
The president of the Uganda Liberal Teachers Union and SACCO, Mutesasira Evans Kaganizo, encouraged teachers to engage in additional enterprises alongside their salaries and to register as SACCO members.
Let teachers learn the culture of savings, but we are also passing a policy that even this, the presidential pledge which the president gave us, which is coming to us, we want this money to be dispatched to the teachers so that it has an impact on the ordinary teacher. It should not be used by those middlemen, the so-called board members, and some even technocrats in government who may want to divert that money.
He also thanked President Museveni for allocating 20 billion shillings to 3 teachers' SACCOs and advised teachers to participate in pilot SACCO projects such as poultry, piggery and schools to promote social and economic development. Sudat Kaye and Fred Kasivante, UBC News.
Kampala Central Resident City Commissioner Eric Binessa has issued a stern warning against leaders mismanaging government funds meant for poverty alleviation programs like the Myoga and the Parish Development Model. Binessa made this statement during a visit to the ghetto youth in Kiseka, Kampala, to assess how these groups are benefiting from the government programs.
Binessa toured Kiseka Business Center and interacted with a number of youths. These said they are operating in fear following threats of possible eviction by unknown people. Binessa explained the purpose of his visit and interacted with the beneficiaries of the PDM and Myoga programs. He noted that a number of beneficiaries was disappointingly low and compared to the funds disbursed.
We are going to do this and ensure that members of the community, especially here, get to know that there is a lot of money that government is sinking, but the general public does not know.
Binessa highlighted that Kampala Central has access to 4 billion Ugandan shillings for Myoga and 200 million for the PDM, both targeted at uplifting the youth.
People have benefited from the available government programs such as the Myoga, even those that have benefited have not been returning this money so well. And that partly explains why I had called for the services of the commercial officer to come and substantiate on why they have not taken the initiative.
He urged the youth to form associations and register to receive the funds. Benessa warned circle leaders involved in the embezzlement of public funds that the law will catch up with them.
The beneficiary of this money may not be in a position to appreciate the fact that it is government that has given out this money. And that partly explains why I want them to come to office and substantiate on some of these issues. I want to know whether it is a mistake of fact or it was their own design. If they have illicit intentions, I will certainly arrest them. Yeah.
Kalyango Shafik, the head of ghetto structures, mentioned that President Museveni had already provided them with 1.2 billion to support ghetto initiatives.
Ogenda nga tutonda SACCOs ennyingi kitwala obudde bungi wamu ne ssente nnyingi oba oliawo ekiyinza obutasoboka.
Several ghetto youths expressed their thoughts on the RCC's visit before Benessa headed to Nakawa, where he has since been transferred.
Minister of State for Mineral Development, Fiona Nyamutoro, has announced that Ugandans will occupy 90% of the employment opportunities in the country's burgeoning oil and gas sector, which is set to commence production of its first oil in July next year. This, she mentioned, at the launch of the second edition of the Oil and Gas Expo, organized by the Petroleum Authority of Uganda at Chambogo University.
As Uganda gears up for its first oil production, the government and the Petroleum Authority are taking significant steps to ensure that the local workforce is prepared and well equipped to benefit from the industry.
These investments present opportunities to the country. The participation of Ugandans and Ugandan enterprises in the provision of the required goods and services, what is known as national content, is something that we are strongly advocating and pushing for. National content is at the project level, and its target objective is based on how much of the expenditure on the projects ought to be retained by the country.
While launching the expo, Minister of State for Mineral Development Fiona Nyamutoro says the Oil and Gas Expo serves as a pivotal moment in the journey, providing the knowledge, skills and connections needed to bridge the employment gap and create a brighter future for many Ugandans.
Fixation on how best Uganda can be competitive across the world, with seeing that our young people who are in the sector directly, especially the technical ones, have the best skills that we can trade off, but also that will help us develop our sector progressively.
Ernest Rubondo, the Executive Director of the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, echoed the significance of the expo, emphasizing that this will create a platform to enhance the employment opportunities available in the sector.
To share information. So the people who are training need to know what opportunities exist for them in the oil and gas sector. So they come to this conference and understand. People who have graduated also need to know what opportunities are there for them with the qualifications they have. And so they come and meet the employers here.
He acknowledged that there is still a gap in the skills required for the industry and highlighted the expo's role in addressing this gap by providing the necessary training and guidance to Ugandans.
The training and skills development that is being offered by the oil industry in this country is the best you can get internationally. I have had the opportunity to travel around the world, and I admire the young people who are in Uganda now, because you can acquire the training that could only be acquired from abroad those days.
The expo is designed to enhance both the technical and soft skills of participants, thus making them more competitive in the job market. Irene Faith Nantongo, Mary Namukose, UBC News.
Uganda fire! Endiva fire! Our border fire!
Uganda! Thank you for showing your fire! Has Nabole Stadium opened its doors
Girls once again. You are one movie, you were the 12th player. When Uganda Cranes needed you the most. Through our famous wins against Makubuya and our unlucky losses, you stood firm, supporting even louder. Now, as Uganda Cranes take on South Africa and Congo this September, South Sudan in October, and play our second legs against South Africa and Congo in November, bring even more fire! Because with your support, Uganda Cranes is unstoppable! Uganda Fire! Proudly brought to you by MTN, the #1 supporter of Uganda Cranes. Together, we are unstoppable.
It's true what people say, that when I wash and you wash your hands with soap, we'll have less infections as Ugandans. After all, it's hands that handle money. It's hands that feed us. Hands that prepare soil for farming. Hands that we use to learn. And hands that we use for fun.
When I wash and you wash, it means clean hands for all. So, wash your hands with soap and clean water regularly to keep away infections and disease-causing germs. This message is from the National Hand Washing Secretariat with support from UNICEF.
Welcome back, and now with some sports news from the motherland. Uganda's State Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Godfrey Kabyanga, has assured the world of safety while in Kasese for this weekend's Tusker Light Mount Rwenzori Marathon. We have the details.
Kasese is a beehive of activity as it prepares to host the 3rd edition of the Tusker Light Mount Rwenzori Marathon this Saturday. According to the State Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Godfrey Kabyanga, visitors from the United Kingdom, Kenya and other parts of the world have started arriving.
Guests have started arriving, runners have also started arriving, who have just received the Kenyan team, and we are receiving some team from the UK this evening, and other teams are also coming. But the Ugandan runners are already here.
The minister assured the general public that security towards the success of the marathon has been enhanced through different security agencies.
I would also like to assure all participants and all those who will come to cheer the runners and all those who will come to enjoy Kasese that security is tight. We have put enough measures to ensure everybody is secure.
Kasese municipality leadership have commended the sponsors Tusker Light for this initiative that is boosting economic transformation among the business people.
There's no hotel that is not occupied in the Kasese town. All hotels have been booked to capacity. And what this one means, it is translated into the economy that has come in Kasese municipality. One, the night economy, the road economy, and of course owners of lodges and hotels will have some new money coming in.
Uganda Breweries Limited Project Manager Patience Aguti says that over 3,000 runners have confirmed their participation in this year's Tusker Light Rwenzori Marathon.
Over 32 countries have confirmed. Some of them have already, participants have already touched down. Some are still on their way. But you guys don't want to miss the 3rd edition of the Tusker Light Mount Rwenzori Marathon.
The Tusker Light Rwenzori Marathon has been characterized with pre-activities including cleaning of Kasese town and a pre-event bicycle ride from Kampala.
Today we have just received the cyclists who left Kampala on Tuesday. They have just arrived now. They have completed the race of 370 kilometers. We have just received them in Kasese town. That is the opening event of the main Tusker Light Rwenzori Marathon.
One of the pre-marathon activities we have had has been cleaning Kasese municipality, making the town clean, making the town free from plastics so that the guests who are coming in and people within feel they are in a very clean environment.
This Tascalite Rwenzori Marathon is unique by Ugandan standards for being the only one certified by World Athletics. What this means is that it can qualify runners to major global events.
The marathon has been registered globally. That means it is certified with the World Athletic Federation, and that is something for us to be proud about and to brag about, and that's the kind of marathon you do not want to miss.
It will be run over 5, 10, 21 and 42 kilometers.
Well, if I wasn't to work tomorrow, I would be in Kasese town for sure. UBC News Tonight comes to an end, but do join us for a second edition at 10 o'clock with more stories. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto and my colleague Muhammad Mugalu. We will see you at 10.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.